with you wherever you go, whether you're at home or whether you go outside or whether you meet somebody. It's
Mhm.
with you. It's the real, it's the presence, it is you. And so, and so somebody may ask, oh, this topic of God, this topic of consciousness of ourselves, oh, it's such a small part of life, only if I have time maybe I'll think about it. But I want to tell you that it's actually the other way around. Okay, the things that people think of in life is actually a small tiny thing of the actual reality of the actual life in this world. Everybody is living in the now. Like, if you go to anybody and you see where they're at, it doesn't matter what's in their heads. Their their being is in the now. You see?
Yeah.
There's there's only the now. There is nothing else. There is a now here. In 10 minutes there's going to be a now. There is a now in our part of the planet, there is a now in another part of the planet. Okay?
Mhm.
20 years ago there was also a now. If you take away thoughts, then what's actually in the world is just it's this state of being, is this state of existing.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the water. This whole world is living in this water. It's living in this the state of present moments,
Mhm.
momentness, if that's such a word. It's the state of present momentness. This is it's There's a flood, there is a water, it's everywhere, that we are this is where life is. It's an ocean of present momentness. Now what happens? This concept, it's very subtle. It's one thing to hear about it, but we actually have to really appreciate it, because what happens is that people, with our minds, we objectify this water. We are living in the water, we're seeing the water outside, but what are we doing? Instead of seeing the water, our mind objectifies it. The mind leaves this water, and it starts to say, oh, I want that. The mind says, oh, I really need that to, for something. In order to be happier, I need to get a hold of that. You see, the mind is like, oh no, I need to push this away because this is gonna disturb me. All of these things, the jealousies, the the desires, these are all objectifications of the water. They're not real. This world will go on just the same if all the thought was removed. This world would continue to exist. Okay? The existence of this floodgates, the floodgates of everything. It's here. It's the mind that misunderstands it, and it labels something, and then because of the inherent desires, the desires that are within, it thinks it needs to grasp onto something. Okay? It thinks it needs to go here, it needs to take that. Or just as equally not true is the desire to stop going from somewhere to somewhere. You see, it's the desire to avoid certain activities. You know, the water keeps flowing. The water in a river flows regardless. The water doesn't say, you know what, I better not flow. No, it's its nature. So in just the same way, the present moment, the water of the present moment, it's constantly flowing according to the will of God, according to the natural uh, um, streaks in this consciousness, it's gonna flow naturally. But what happens is that the mind starts to objectify this water, to objectify the bubbles in this lake. Okay, and after it objectifies, it starts to believe, oh, I want this object, or I need this object to for all sorts of reasons. There's so much hankering that starts going on, or the pushing away. And it's this very thought of needing to acquire or to push away that takes us away from the present moment and makes our minds live in some dreams, some castles in the sky that we're forming, imaginations about this world, uh, living in the future, regurgitating the past. It's all happening in the mind, and it has nothing to do with what's actually here in the present moment. You know, liberation. What is liberation? What is salvation? Salvation is being freed from mind.
Mm-hmm.
Salvation is being freed from this unnecessary declining of events in life, as well as hankering after events in life. You see, it's not changing the life. God is God. God is everywhere. We're living in God. God, God is. But it's this, the separation from God happens because the mind has objectified God. The mind looks at other people, and instead of seeing that other people are God Himself, from seeing that who is another person, look at the other person, their consciousness. They're not the body. The body is just the clothing. Who moves the body? Huh? Who moves the body? You know, we have objectified other people and we see them as bodies. This is a sin. This is a separation from God, because a body is just a clothing. When the body is dead, is there still such obsession about dead bodies? No, it's a dead body. Now you know the person, that's not the person anymore. The person is not there. You don't feel the person anymore there. Why is that? That's because the truth is that everything is not the body. Everything is the consciousness, the intelligence. What is the intelligence behind each body? You see? So there are a couple of steps, right? So first, the first clothing is the body of things, people, animals, nature. What we see, what we see in the most kind of like primitive way, is just the body, right? So it's very easy to objectify in that way. But here we're talking about, let's go deeper. Let's find out what's really here. I want the truth, because this life has been showing us again and again and again that when we objectify, when we look at everything as body, we have problems, right? We get into there's this is the seed of suffering. Living by always objectifying everything is the seed of suffering for us and for others. We know this, right? The social sciences know this. Psychology knows this, right? So we know this cannot be the truth, right? And if we start to feel a little bit with our heart, if we start to think, then we know that it's actually the mind that's running the body, right? If the mind is very happy, all of a sudden your body gets a lot of energy. You may not even have gone to the gym, you may not even have necessarily eaten the most organic food, but if your mind is in a happy place, you're gonna have that kick. You're gonna have that good mood. Your body's gonna have some enthusiasm there, coming from nowhere, right? So obviously that didn't come from the food the body has eaten. That has come from somewhere else, right? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we look at the world as maybe it is mine, now we're getting a little bit closer to reality, because we're getting closer to intelligence, right? We're taking a step away from this inertness by looking at dead matter, that everything is dead matter, and thinking it's alive because of confusion. Now we're seeing, okay, it's actually intelligence. There's something intelligent that's running, that's operating this universe, right? And but still we should not be satisfied. Still, that's not the answer, because what runs the mind? This is the mystery, you know? So this is where psychology stops. This is where well, sociology, that's a different subject, but this is where psychology stops. Psychology only goes as deep as the mind, and it does not know one step further. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the step further can only be grasped through, can somebody say, what is the one tool that you can grasp that which is beyond the mind, that which is omnipresent? He who is the doer, he who is the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one key.
Is that the observer also?
Yes, he is
That
the
word, the observer before.
he
Okay.
is the observer. Yes.
Yeah.
What is the one key that is the only one that will let you go beyond the mind, so you can come to know who you are? Any guesses? What is one place that conquers all minds? Who is the conqueror? What is the conqueror of all minds in the world?
Well, you just said he who is the doer, no?
Yes, but how to get to him? In order to get to the doer, we have to go beyond our mind, because our mind is made of only of thoughts and emotions, but he is beyond thoughts and emotions. How to get beyond thoughts and emotions? There is only one key in the world. Can anybody guess?
Only one what?
Key.
One key. One key.
Key.
You're talking about
Only one
like
key?
meditation?
Not well, sure, those help, but the secret key is love. Love is the conqueror of all minds. Love works on the intellectuals, love works on the emotionals, love works on the artists, love works on the astronauts. This is the universal existence of God, and God is love himself. So even in the old scriptures, it says that if you want to know Brahman or Atman, which is the truth, it is the being, the actual living being who is in this world. When you take away all thoughts, when you get to know who you are, the only way to get to him is by loving him. Right? This is the secret answer to the universe. That's why Bhagavan says love is the highest. Right? Bhagavan says that the problem in the world today, it's not cancer, and it's not nuclear bombs, and it's not AIDS. It's lack of love. Whoever has love is the highest. There's a beautiful saying of Sri Krishna, who says that Sri Krishna says that God hesitates to give love and devotion. It's like an ancient song, an ancient poem. God hesitates. God can give you knowledge. God can give you knowledge of Him. So you know that He exists. You can have a flash of that. You can have a flash of that God exists. But love and devotion, God hesitates to give. Why? Because he or she who has love and devotion, he has all. You become the commander of the three worlds. You become the ruler of over all the worlds, heaven, hell, earth, whatever there are, because nobody can come close. Okay? And you win over God. It even says that when you become a true devotee of the Lord, God becomes your servant. It is that powerful. You see, there's there's a saying. I love the saying. It's when a person desires God, God starts to take everything away from him or her. This is an old parable in India. Okay, the person who really desires God starts to take everything away from you. What is that everything? It is our attachments. It is our thinking, our false thinking that this world is gonna give us, everything. It's gonna give us that answer. It's gonna give us that fulfillment. This is the confusion, and God slowly, when you want God, He slowly takes you out of this confusion. He shows you that none of this is real. This is all mental concepts. Everything in this world is mental concepts that we have just created. The personalities that we are, it's not who we really are. It's just something that we've adjusted to. It's something that this mind has adjusted to growing up. It's not the truth. So God starts to in a way, there's this if you have ever seen in India, there is this ferocious form of God called Mother Kali. Have either of you have seen it? It's a ferocious.
Never heard.
Yeah, it's this feminine, wrathful mother aspect of God, and the reason it's wrathful is because there's a part of the path, a part of the journey to realization of God is sometimes it needs to be a little rough. Okay, it's not going to be like all rainbows and unicorns. Okay, because the ego and the mind, if you want to go beyond the mind, The ego is not going to let you so easily, you know? So in order to go above it, you have to get the help of God to kill your ego.